Okay, so the risk of heart disease in women goes up with age, and it's the leading cause of death in women over 40, especially after menopause. So we just feel it's so important to share this heart health information with you for our community because we're both over 50 and it's just something that we want to pay more attention to, right? So as we get older, there's changes in the walls of our blood vessels and increased inflammation. And both of these are contributing factors and make it more likely for plaque and blood clots to form.
The good news is, we want to share good news, not just bad news, is that most forms of heart disease can be prevented through lifestyle changes. So ladies, these are things that we have control over, right? We can move more, we can eat better, and this is going to help us manage our weight, manage our blood pressure, our blood sugar, our brain health, and our bones. So yay, there is something you can do about this.
Yay. Yes, so many people focus on cholesterol. And it's actually a myth that cholesterol is all bad. So what is cholesterol? It's a waxy compound made in the body and also taken in through the diet. But it is used to make cell membranes, hormones, vitamin D, and it's also involved in learning and functions in the brain. So we want to make sure we have enough cholesterol. And that is not the only thing to look at when it comes to heart health.
Another thing we take very seriously is triglyceride levels, and not enough people really look at those as a contributing risk factor to heart disease. So anytime you have excess calories, including sugar, it's going to get converted to triglycerides in the body. So triglyceride levels are a major risk factor for heart disease, especially when you look at the ratio of triglycerides compared to your HDL, which is technically the more protective form of how cholesterol is carried in the blood. So we like to see triglyceride divided by HDL to be less than 2. The bottom line is that, again, an excess of unhealthy fats and sugars are going to cause more risk of plaque buildup in the arteries. So this is what you want to focus on. How do we reduce that risk?
So let's get into more specifics. And by the way, if you're finding this video helpful, can you please give it a like? Because we want to know that you want to hear more about this kind of information. All right, so diving in, first thing is to limit the refined carbohydrates and sugar. And these directly influence inflammation and heart disease. In fact, check this out. Studies have shown that excess sugar intake decreases blood vessel function and lessens blood flow in only 14 days. These refined carbs and sugar are found everywhere these days. They're listed as corn syrup, they're in sodas, candies, ice cream, desserts, white and brown sugar, agave, white flour, products like breads and bagels and muffins, donuts, and I could go on, breakfast cereals and breakfast bars. They're just so common in what you find in the store these days.
This also dovetails into just what processed foods, right? So we're talking about sugar and processed foods. Some of the things Stephanie just mentioned are very processed, like the bagels and muffins and donuts, et cetera, high in sugar, but also high in damaged fats. So things like chips and microwave popcorn and instant lattes and creamers, right? All the diet creamers too, boxed and frozen meals. And the tricky part is that so many of these processed foods can appear as health foods, right? So on the label, it might say low sugar or low in fat or, high in fiber or high in protein or whatever that they're trying to promote. But when you actually look at the ingredients and what is in the foods, many of them do contain a lot of these damaged fats. And this is where you're going to find in the fine labeling some of these chemicals, food dyes, artificial sweeteners, and many of the seed oils. So you may have heard this thing about seed oils being unhealthy. And so the corn and the cottonseed and the safflower and the grapeseed and canola oils, they're vegetable oils, but they're more on the inflammatory side, not the anti-inflammatory side. And so we don't want to be eating a lot of these types of processed foods for that reason. So again, don't trust the front of a food package. In fact, the more claims it has, probably the least healthy it is. And so flip it over, read the back, make sure that you're looking at the ingredients. And for more guidance on this, check out the video that you see here.
So what is good to eat for your heart? Lots of whole real foods like veggies and fruit, nuts and seeds, beans, avocados, olive oil, and even healthy animal protein. And speaking of animal protein, you don't need to give it up to achieve good heart health. We see great progress in our clients when they're more mindful of cutting down on all the sugars and processed foods and include good protein sources throughout the day, which may include eggs, chicken, fish, and even some red meat.
Yeah. So instead of like cutting out all your animal foods and then eating a lot of diet processed foods, it's almost like you want to do the opposite, just getting whole real foods. We also want to mention that for anybody with a genetic predisposition to heart disease, please know that this does not mean that you are subject to have heart disease yourself. There's a saying that we love, which is genetics loads the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. So this is a science known as epigenetics, and there's more and more emerging research on how we can change the expression of our genes. So no matter what you have in your genetics, you can absolutely influence the outcome of what your blood work and all of that is going to be. Great news. So you have more control than you think. We hope this has been helpful. Please share in the comments if you'd like us to do more videos around this topic, and we look forward to seeing you soon.